There was one time when he was selling pizza with Cameron Jones and maybe Jasmine Allen and I. He wasn't. Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been Jasmine. Oh, it was Ariel Lupinesi. We were selling pizza, and one of the boys had gone out for lunch with a date, and the date came back into the building, followed about 6 steps behind by the boy, and Xavier just lost it and said, "OMG." And she went by and kind of looked sort of sheepish about it. And then the guy walked by and winked, and Xavier was like, "Yeah," and that was very funny, you know. And I, of course, wasn't supposed to be in tune to any of this stuff, and it was like, "Oh, that's hilarious." And he just couldn't help himself, you know. He had to say something to his buddy.
The night we got our bids, we were in my room before playing Madden. No, we were playing 2K, and I just beat him, and then we did a rematch, and he beat me, and I'm pissed because I hadn't lost, and he beat me, but he had to beat the Heat. He wasn't very good. And we got these energy drinks from the Tark Mart, and we were all hyped up because we got invited back. They called us back, and they're like, "There's alumni here, like dress nice. They're interested in you." And we're like, "Nice." And we thought we were gonna get a party with them that night and stuff. So we got these energy drinks, and little did we know, but we got our bid that night, and it was wild. I can't really talk about it much, but it was pretty shitty. And then when it was all over with, we got in the same car, and he was like, "Dude, we're about to be brothers," and gave me a hug, and I'll never forget that.
I want to say this is fifth, maybe fourth grade, and we're outside. There's probably 30 people outside in Andrew Brandon's backyard, and they're playing a concert. And we're in fifth grade, so we're young. We're getting rowdy, and Xavier comes down from the stage, and me and him are singing this Green Day song, and a cuss word's about to come up, and there's a break in the song. He says, "Don't say the cuss word." And we get to the part, and I say the cuss word, and he would not talk to me for 2 weeks after that. The funniest thing, I said, I think it was shit. I said it, and he was like, "Bro," just thought it ruined the whole thing. He was so mad, and that just so funny.
There are some kids who come to school with a frown on their face. That was not Dr. Somerville. He came to school with a smile on his face every day and said, "I want to learn something today." And even if they're not the smartest kids, those kids who say, "I want to learn something today," those are the ones that are Joy's teaching. And that's why it's so difficult when you lose those kinds of kids, because they make teaching fun. They make it interesting.
One of my favorite memories about Xavier was actually when I had my daughter. Xavier and I hadn't talked and we hadn't hung out in a really long time because we always had those time lengths where we would just randomly text each other or something. But we had planned to have a movie day because he got out of school early, so we were just gonna have a whole movie day set. And I remember he texted me when he got out, and he was like, "Are we still up for the movies?" And I was like, "I'm actually going to labor, so that's not gonna happen." And so then the next day he came up to the hospital, and he met Elena and held her for hours. And the day I went home was a Friday. It was it's snowing super bad. It was ice all over the roads and stuff. And Xavier came, and it was when I was taking Elena home. And he came, and I was in the wheelchair, and he pushed me out, and he had the video camera the whole time, so he was videotaping me bring home Elena. And he left, and I remember he called me, and he was like, "Do you want any fast food or anything?" He was like, "I'm guessing McDonald's." And I was like, "Yeah, please." So he went and he got McDonald's for us, and he came back, and we just put Elena to bed and watched movies. And that was one of my favorite memories just because it involved Elena, and I know how much she meant to him. And I don't know, he always kind of told me, because our relationship was so different, I feel like, than anyone else's. We were best friends, but we were also on and off for the last 5 years. And so he just always said he looked at Elena as kind of his own, and that he just loved her, like, more than anything.
I took him to with my family to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico one time, and not even my brother went. It was just me and Xavier and my mom, and we stayed at my mom's boyfriend's this like big like house or whatever, and I just remember that we'd always go out on the beach and we'd ride this gator thing across this private beach, and we would always just cruise like so fast on the gator, and we just go over all the bumps and stuff. And I almost killed him one time going off a ramp. He like broke his spine almost, I think, going in the back of the gator. He like fell off the gator, and he just laid there like in pain for like 2 minutes, and he's just like, all right, your turn. And so he made me get on the back of the gator, and we went off the same ramp, and I almost broke my back too. And I think after that, I don't know, I just knew we were going to be friends after that. Painful memory.
It was like last summer, and we just got done. We like were at his house all day, and then we played basketball for the longest time. And he had this like Jamocha shake that he like saved from Arby's that he had like earlier in the day, and he like stuck in his freezer. And like we went to play basketball, and like when we got out of basketball, it was like kind of melty, and he was like trying to get like he was in my backseat of my car trying to like get some of like the frozen part of the Jamocha shake out, and it just like went all over the side of my car. And he's like, bro, and I was like, what? And he's like, I just Jamocha'd your car. I was like, what? And then like a couple weeks later, he was like, I'll clean up, and then like he didn't that day, and I was like, oh, Jamocha's gonna be on there for so long. He's like, he came back and came to pick him up like a couple weeks later, and he's like came out with like a towel, like already knew that there was like Jamocha on my car and remembered. He came out with the towel, just like wiped it off, and like he's just like, Jamocha'd your car, but I was like, right on. He was like, that's just kind of like the guy he is. Like he's just the nicest. I don't know, he's just the nicest dude. Just no matter what, he's the best guy like I have ever met.
I think the lasting memory I have of Xavier is that first time he came in my classroom, because I really didn't know him at that point as a student. And when he came in the room, he had a way of just lighting up the whole area. Kids that were in the room before the bell rang, everybody just kind of gravitated towards him. And I remember being at my desk or near my desk saying, who's this young man? And it was in a good way. It was just positive, because the first time he came in my class, he had this big smile on his face, and he just brought in this energy and this kind of electric kind of attitude that brought people to him. So people just would kind of converge on him and just want to talk to him. And I remember that standing out.
I couldn't pick one memory out of every time we'd hang out. There would just be a new memory, a new joke, like not even one, there'd be like 10 different things that like we would just look at each other and be like, that's my best friend, or we would just know what we were thinking. And every time, like, I would just always have like a bad day on grade A's or something senior year, and I had my last class with Xavier and we sat next to each other. And I would just know every time I had a bad day, I would just be excited to walk up into G4 and go into class, and Xavier would be right there, and I know he was just like, I was just ready to have my day brighten. And so every time I got to see him, hang out with him, it was just a good memory to have. There was something special about like every time we hung out. There was just not ever one boring time that I guess I could ever forget about.
Sophomore summer, me, Connor, and Xavier took a trip to Hilton Head Island with my family. I was able to take them as friends, and I remember the one thing I always go back to when I think about Xavier is it's like a 13-hour car ride down to Hilton Head, and we're 30 minutes away and we're sick of being in the car and we're in traffic and it's just dead, nothing's moving, and we sit there for 4 hours. Those entire 4 hours we were just bumping music with my mom driving like rap like Tupac, and we were just dancing in the back. We were like jerking in the back of a minivan, and I just remember like even though it was like one of the crappiest like situations, like me, Connor, and Xavier were just able to clown together so hard. And I don't know, that just like summarized like who Xavier was, no matter what the situation. Like he always saw like the bright side of things, and he always like made everything better.
Sixth grade, when the Belzer band had a field trip to Kings Island, and everybody went there. He pushed me to go on the Son of the Beast, and I was so scared of heights, so scared, and I didn't want to do it, but he pushed me to get on there, pushed me to get on one of the front carts. And while we were climbing, he told me to have my hands up, and I was so scared to do it because my legs were so skinny, and I was feeling like I was going to fall out or something. He just said, keep your arms up and your eyes open the whole time. And right when we started going down, I did what he said, and the whole ride, he was yelling and screaming, congratulating me. He was saying, way to go, man. Like, you're awesome, dude. You did it on your first time. And from there on, I knew who somebody was. It's going to be my life forever.
I think it was during his 8th grade year, he wanted to change teachers, a teacher in particular, and he came in with his parents, and we sat down and I said, if you can convince me of why you need to change, we'll do it. He gave a really good talk. It was from the heart. He gave me the reasons why he thought it would be best if he leave that classroom, and so he self-advocated, and because of that, he convinced me. I said, man, you know what, I can't say no because of the conversation you just had. You did a great job, so let's get it done.
The first time I met Xavier, it was summer going into junior year, and I was transferring from Chittahard to Lawrence Central, and he's actually one of the first friends I made at Lawrence Central. I met him at a party, and he tried to dance. We were trying to dance, and he kicked over like the iPod, and so like the music messed up, and I just like stood up and walked away, and he like freaked out. He was like, no, come back. And so we kind of just like became friends then. Like we kind of saw each other at more parties, and we recognized each other, and I don't know, we kind of started texting, and we just became like really good friends, and it kind of led into like us dating at the beginning of my junior year. But silly me, we weren't really dating. He was just being Xavier. But I don't know, we instantly became really close, and I trusted him with everything, and I don't know, it just started off great. It always was great. Like, we never fought. Like, I don't know. That's pretty much how we met.
I think I've seen him dance too many times, and always laughing, always joking around, talking about, I'm pretty sure it was maybe at Belzer when they did the dance. They came out on stage and did the dance. We watched that a few times. We had him repeat the performance for us a couple times. So it's good stuff. Him always encouraging everyone else to have fun, that's for sure.
There's so many. I guess just his dance moves. him dancing. We would always be in his basement, and like there was this one song that would come on, and we would always we'd just be like, oh my gosh! We just freak out and start being goofy. We acted like kids, like we didn't, I don't know, he just brought out something in me that wasn't usually, I'm like a very shy and introverted person, but when I was around him, I was loud and outgoing.
Probably my favorite memory was in 5th grade, and me and Xavier went to Marsh and Geist, and there was like this vending machine, like the claw vending machine, and like no one could ever get anything out of those claw vending machines, like it's just like a waste of money. But Xavier was so determined to like win me a stuffed animal, and he won me literally 25 of those stuffed animals. And then after that, I was just like, oh my god, I love him. And then like we started dating, and yeah.
My favorite memory would probably be a school memory, which is surprising for me. But it was probably, I think, sophomore year maybe. We had history class together, and every single day I would look forward to this class just because me and Xavier would totally just sit by each other every single day and have heart-to-hearts because the class was super easy, and just the talks we had in there just kind of helped build our friendship. So that's a good memory I have with Xavier, and that's one that is probably my favorite.
There's too many memories of Xavier to give just one, but I like to think back to middle school and just, I don't know, we always danced together, like we had language arts together, and like I knew the High School Musical dance, and like I think I just did it one day, and he just started doing it with me, and that was fun.
So many memories come to mind. I can't really pick one though. Through the past year and a half, 2 years, like, I felt like I've known him more than I've known a lot of people. But if I could pick something that I would pick as a defining moment with me and him, it would be me not going to Mexico so I could go on spring break with him. And I feel like that was one of the greatest decisions I've ever made because I've never had more fun in my entire life than I had with him and all our friends that went on that same trip.
Definitely have a lot of memories with him. I don't really know how to summarize 11 years into this, but one that I'll definitely keep with me and I think about it every day is after my dad's funeral, he came up to me, he gave me the most firmest hug I've ever had. He told me everything was going to be alright, and just don't be sad that my dad's gone. Be happy that you had such a great guy for a dad. Like most people don't even have that. And the most you can do right now is just try and be happy because that's what your dad would want, and that's what stuck with me the most probably. Other than that, any memory I can think of, me and him were always laughing, always smiling, always trying to outdo each other. Just he made me who I am today.
Well, recently we were just at his house with Valerie and Cole, and we stayed there for a couple of days, and all we did was just sit around, watch movies, and it was a very nice memory to have because it was one of the last memories I had with him. So.
there's so many, but one of the funniest things, we were at Clay's house, and we were all just chilling, and all of a sudden he comes in the room and he's just dancing, and then there's this ball on the floor, and he starts like falling back on the ball and coming back up, and then like dancing again, and then he fell back on the ball and launched himself into a glass table, and it was really funny. It's just everything Xavier does, he always makes you laugh.
Probably for Xavier, I'd say one time we were all in the car. I think me, him, Matt Mason. We were driving, and it was a rainy day outside. You know, just kind of no one talking in the car, and he looks out to me and goes, "Hey, you guys, we're storm chasing." You know, just made a boring moment. Just, you know, kind of like something was going on, and you know, it was just Xavier's just always that guy. Just wanted to make the moment awesome. You know, a lot of energy. Just Xavier.
Favorite memory, for our senior year spring break, we went to Panama City Beach, and just that whole week, we just clowned so hard. So many memories from that week, so I probably just have to pick that whole week. Drive down there, and we shared a room, so we got pretty crazy, but it was fun.
When he was in elementary school, his oldest brother, he's fourth son of the baby, and his oldest brother had sent him a balloon bouquet for his birthday he was at Amy Beverland, and he said that was just so awesome that all the kids was like, wow, you have a brother big enough that has his own money and that can send you, you know, things like that. And I had to go pick him up because his brother had called me and said it was going to probably be too big for him to get on the bus, so I went and picked him up, and he came out just beaming that, you know, his big brother had sent him and made him just, you know, just big man on campus for elementary school at that time. So what's one of yours now?
Oh, it's just too many to even name. From the first time we went out to play golf, because I've got 4 sons, as you know. He's the youngest of 4, and I introduce each one of them to everything. Some things that I don't like to do, but I introduced them anyway. Fishing, golf, you name it. Because I'm in the parenting business, making men out of my sons. And I think the biggest is just him getting things right, each one. He's like, I want to do it right. What's the right way? And he's always asking questions for good parental advice on everything that he did. So that, I think that's what made him the Renaissance type of kid, you know, because he asked the right questions to get the right response, to challenge me with answers, and just amazing, absolutely amazing.
And then also another birthday, he just really wanted to do nothing. He said what he wanted was to be able to order a pizza, have a full 2-liter of Orange Pop,
Orange Crush,
and
lay in bed.
Eat in his bed and watch. We had got him a box tape of can't remember which TV series it was, and that's what he did. He'd come out, you know, every couple of hours, be like, "I'm having a great day," but that to him was one of the great days. And then I guess one of the last ones was when we moved him into Purdue, and we were up there. Xavier and I went for orientation. His dad had to work that day, but probably I remember when he took this picture and, you know, took his photo ID card, and he's like, "What do you think, Mom?" And I was like, "Oh, that's excellent." He's like, "Yeah, that's a good one. I'll keep it." But that was a great day. And then when we moved him into his dorm room, excuse me, we got to just hang out, and he loved it.
for the win. It's Lawrence Central. It's Bloomington South. There's plenty going on.
Like brighten your day, like about like he could just make everyone feel like really good about themselves, like even if he didn't know you, or like even if it was like the like even if you weren't like really good friends with them, he always made you feel like you were like number one, like on top of the earth, like the only person in the world. He always made everyone feel that way.
Just like fun attitude towards life, and his smile, and just like I said before, just the way his like outlook he had on life, and just like him and my brother used to, I guess, were like really close friends, and that's how I met Xavier, and he went on vacation with us to Hilton Head, and within like 30 minutes of the car ride, I felt like I knew Xavier just like my brother did, and he had that special quality about him that was just like really personal and made you feel like you were the most important person when he was talking to you, and that was definitely my favorite quality.
Mine would probably be his smile too. It really could, like, it sounds corny, but like brighten your whole day and like make you happy. Like, he was just a happy person. Like, you couldn't be anything else around him. He was so fun, and I don't know, just like that's how his personality was. Like, he was just such like a carefree, like fun person, and he made you like that when you were around him.
I mean, I only knew Xavier for about over a year, maybe a year and a half, and I was trying to figure out as to why, like the reason why I only got to spend, know him for a year and a half, and the reason why, God only put him in my life for that amount of time. And I was thinking about it, and I think he's made me a better person. He definitely brought out the best in me. He always made me smile, always made me laugh, made me feel good about myself. He's definitely made me a stronger person, especially with all of this. I think it's a way of testing my strength, and I'm so lucky to have, even though it was only for the short time that I know him, get to know him that well, and have someone like him in my life. And I know he's not with us anymore, but he's always in my heart, and I know he's watching over all of us.
My favorite quality was probably how upbeat, outgoing, like funny, always wanted to have a good time, like how cheerful he was. Like I've had so many deep talks with Xavier where I started crying and then literally he would, like, the first tear I shed, he would not let me cry. He would cheer someone right up no matter what. Like anything could happen and he would always be there for anyone, even if you didn't know him. He was always so, like, he would share with anyone. Everyone really has said, he had no enemies. I've never met a person that didn't like Xavier. And he's touched everyone's hearts. Like, he only met my mom once, but my mom knew from the beginning, like, what everyone means when he brights up a room.
There really is no bad quality about Xavier. It's hard to pick a favorite when there's just so many. I'm sorry. It's hard not to cry when to talk about him. I mean, obviously his best quality was his personality. Everyone loved the big smile, but it was what was behind that smile that made him so great. And how happy he always was. And how happy he always wanted everyone else to be. He always put you first in front of him, no matter what the situation.
Even though he's gone, like, a part of Xavier will always stick with us. Like, the fact that he's gone means something, and it really is sad, but he still will be with us. We each will have our individual part with him. Like, the fact that he'll always make any situation happy, his smile, his laugh will always stick with us. Even though he is gone, we'll remember the good things about Xavier. Never did he have an enemy or any problem with anyone. He always had positive things to say. So I think we'll always just have, like, a part that sticks with us about him.
I mean, he was an amazing person. Everybody loved him. I don't think he had one enemy. He could walk into a room and just brighten anybody's day and make anybody smile. And he didn't even have to say anything. All he had to do was smile at you. He just had a gorgeous smile, and his personality was just so different from anybody else's. Like, he was just Xavier. There's nobody like him.
We've talked about this multiple times. Xavier was like the core of our group of friends. Like, going back when we went to our funeral, when we went to his funeral, I would, like, look at everyone and I would see Xavier. And I think the biggest impact is just, like, our group of friends is just never going to be the same. It's just, when we're all together and he's not going to be there, it's just going to feel like a huge gap, and it's just going to be weird. And I just think, for me personally, that's going to be the biggest impact. And just walking on this campus every day and, like, sitting in class and knowing that, like, I'm and all of us are experiencing life at Purdue and he no longer is, like, that just, to me, like, I can't grasp that. And so every time I'm in class or every time I'm walking someplace or doing anything, and he's just always there. Like, he's always on this campus, and you can just feel him.
Just growing up with him, like, he was just always that kid that like wouldn't care what, like, other people thought of him. Like, always had a smile on his face. Like, that smile, just, like, it was like that one thing about him. And, like, warriors are fearless, and, like, that's, like, the one thing that comes to my mind, like, whenever I think of him. And I just, like, I read on Facebook that someone put that at, like, I think it was prom or, like, a dance, like, there was a girl who, like, had, like, I think she had, like, special needs or something, and, like, he, like, went and, like, danced with her, and, like, that's just the person he was. Like, he was so lovable and, like, didn't care what anyone else think. Like,
he was like a fearless person, and like that's when I think of like a warrior, and like he's like like Tori said, like a local hero. Like everyone just like looks up to him.
He was always ready to pick people up whenever they were down. And I remember just he was like the life of, I mean, I didn't go to high school with him, but we always, Ellen, Lawrence North, Lawrence Central, we were always all together a lot of the time. So I remember whenever he'd walk in, it was just like everything lit up, and it was always, hey, it's Xavier. Like, he was always just happy and smiling, and he just always lightened the mood wherever he was.
Everyone else around him, if a lot of people knew him, if you didn't know him, you wanted to know him. He was that type of guy. If we went out and you looked over and you saw him, you wanted to go over and talk to him if you could get to him, because so many people like would be around him talking to him. He'd always be busy talking to someone. But also there's like one night we were going out and we could find no one to go to this party with us. And you know, we're texting in our group message, and just out of nowhere, Xavier says, guys, don't worry, I literally have 24 girls with me. And just from that moment on, I knew that that kid, he was just so outgoing. Like, I was excited for him to be one of my brothers in Sigma Chi, because they give out bids if you have certain qualities, and he definitely fulfilled every one of those qualities. Like, he deserved to be in that house, and we still incorporate him in everything we do. We took our composite picture the other day, and we still have a picture of him on there. And just whenever it gets hard, if it ever gets hard, just think like, Xavier can't be here. Like, do it for Xavier. That's what goes through my mind, you know.
What stands out to me is definitely just how he interacted with people. Like, I met him Wednesday night. Thursday morning, I had a text from him, like, asking me to get lunch. He invited me to hang out Thursday night. I was with him Friday also. He just always, the way he treated people, the way he interacted with people, was just so accepting of everyone. It took no time to just be accepted by him and be a close friend and feel like a close friend just because of how he treated you.
It's impacted me a lot because, I mean, I've known him for like 10 years, so I'm so used to seeing him and talking to him all the time, and just, I don't know, we had a lot of like almost inside jokes that I would just talk to him about all the time, like text him when something funny happens, and it's just hard because now I can't, and it's just different without him, but it's really made me appreciate the fact that I was so close with him, and the fact that he honestly made me a better person. He made me like think about life much more positively, and I have a lot of great memories to be thankful for.
It's impacted me, and I know this may sound cliche, but it just really does make you cherish like every moment you have in life. Like, it really, like, everything. Like, I know maybe how he died might be considered risky, but it doesn't make me want to stop taking risks. Like, he lived his life fuller than any of us could even imagine living our lives, and like, I would just hope that I could get even half as much out of life as what he got in 18 years. Like, it just makes me really want to get everything I can out of my time here and really appreciate every moment and everything I have.
It's impacted me by like, I don't know, a lot of things. Like, it's like, I don't know how to say it, but he like, if something like, there are so many times that I've like gone to text him, like realized that I can't, or like up late at night, like he was who I would like text if I like couldn't sleep, and he was always up and he was always ready to talk, and like everything he did was so positive. And he told me one time that like, you should make like the best out of any situation no matter what, and I kind of just like was like, what, like not everything can be fun, and now I'm like, really, like, you can't make anything fun. And he just was such a positive person. It makes me want to be positive too, and like be nicer to people, and like appreciate more in life.
I think this has affected me because
I've known Xavier for 13 years, ever since kindergarten, so I feel like I've almost grew up with him, and we live in the same neighborhood, and you know, it's weird. It was weird when we separated, going to different colleges. I went to IU, he went to Purdue, and now it's like, even when I go back for Thanksgiving break and for summers, like I won't see him again, or in the summer I won't ever go to a party in his basement. Everyone knows about those, and it's just, it makes you truly appreciate how much you live your life, and you just need to get the best out of everything.
I don't know, I've always considered him a warrior just because through the ups and downs of life, like, you never saw him like upset or sad. He always saw the bright side of everything, and it really, I think it impacted a lot of people and helped them out because they know that if he can get through anything, then, you know, they like feed off of his like good vibes, and I think that makes him a warrior in a lot of ways, actually.
Xavier was a warrior in every aspect of life. Nothing, like, everything he did, he put 110% in. School, sports, friends, and just, like Eric said, his mood was always elevated. There was never a downside to him, which I think makes him a warrior. He was positive at every aspect of his life. He never saw the bad in anything, only the good. And he battled through a lot with his friends, and he's just a warrior.
It's just crazy, and like, I'm here from most of my friends, or all of my friends, whatever, and seeing them be so upset, it's just like, it's really changed me and made me think about my friends a lot more, and think about my actions and consequences to what I do now.
It's impacted me like a lot. I mean, I lost a best friend. It's that, as much as that impacts anybody, it probably impacted me. It's the one thing that's impacted me the most in my life, like this far throughout 19 years now. But it just, like, you just go back and think like about all the times you hung out with him, like even like the little things, like in stats class every day I sat right behind him, or in like Philippe's English class, like sat like a row in front of him, like just like those little things, how like he lit up like tiny like classrooms. Like no one, you can't say that about a lot of people. Most people show up and they're just like school. Xavier showed up and he was like, oh yeah, it's another day, like Philippe, what up, yeah, like it's just like I don't know, it just lost like a really inspirational person in my life. That's how much it's impacted me.
Well, I mean, we lost a brother. Some of us consider ourselves family, and that day we lost a brother. I mean, it impacts everyone a little bit differently. Some people take it harder than others. Some people can cope with it. But obviously you want to change your life a little bit because of it, make some better decisions, think things through a little bit. So obviously I'm going to take a little more time with what I do, make sure it's the right decision, let him live through me and all of us and become better as a whole. I think going into this, I mean, he said the day he changed his name to Xavier, he said, I'm your savior, whatever. And I mean, that just knows, he knew he was the kid that just everybody looked up to, and he was a leader among us, and he knew it. He really did.
I think like Xavier's like the first person like that's been like close to me to like die. I think it just makes you like look around and like appreciate like all those like around you. Like after he was gone, like all my other friends, like when we got together, I just like love all these people, and I think like he makes you like realize like how much you care for everyone else, and it's hard.
His passing has personally impacted me because everywhere we would all be, Xavier would be there and just bringing everyone together and lightening spirits, and like knowing that he can't be there with us anymore. It's just really hard to grasp, and it's going to be really hard, and we are all going to miss him so much.
It's impacted me because I left for boot camp 3 months ago and everything was fine, and it's made me realize don't take people for granted. And say goodbye to them like it could be the last time you can see them. I never thought something like this would ever happen, but he was a really great person.
I mean, Zay's, it's not only just at home, but like at school as well. I mean, even though we were only at Purdue for a couple weeks together, I saw him every day, like in classes. We would hang out together after class. Like, I was in his room almost every day at school, and just when I walk by his dorm, like, it's knowing that he's never going to be there. It's just weird seeing his roommate everywhere. It's just not, I don't know, it doesn't seem right. Being home, I know that like things will never be the same when we're home, because like every memory of high school, all my favorite ones were at his house, and like just knowing that we're never going to go there again, it's just, you know, things will never be the same without him here.
Just, you're so genuine, like so real. I trusted him. I've never trusted anyone like I trust Xavier. Never lied, never said anything negative, never complained about anything. Always looking at the bright side, being positive, brightening my day up, brightening anyone's day up, not just mine. Anyone who we would see was having a bad day, he would just go talk to them or say what's up or just smile at them. And even if it didn't make a difference, it helped him feel better that he tried something to make someone else's day better. And he's just so loving, and I've never heard anyone say one bad thing about him.
I would definitely say the quality I love most about Xavier was his smile. That smile could brighten anyone's day, no matter how bad it was, honestly. I couldn't tell you how many times I was just mad at something or just not having a good day, and he would just text me and be like, "I want to hang out, you want to come play basketball, you want to do this, you want to do that," and just going to hang out with him made me realize that life really wasn't that bad, and the whole reason was just because of his smile. Like, when that kid smiled, everything was alright. Like, nothing was wrong anymore.
My favorite quality about Xavier, it's hard to pick just one because he was such a good person. He was so genuine. I really wish every guy I knew was like him, but he was so much fun. He was so nice. He was really trustworthy. He was so smart. Every time I'd have a class with him, I'd always cheat off him. He was just a good person. He was a really good guy.
The best quality, he basically was just the nicest kid. Like, he brought so much energy to everything that he did. Like, whenever you were at, like, anywhere that he was in the room, he just brought so much life to it and made you enjoy every part that you were doing. And whenever you were around him, you were always having fun. And, like, you always had a smile on your face because he always had a smile on his face.
Well, I liked how he was just so alive and like lived in the moment, and like he was friends with everybody, energized everybody. That's not something I can really do, but I really liked how he could do that.
Xavier was just so full of life. Like, I know he would always put everyone before himself. Like, he was just always worried about other people and like if they were happy and if they weren't, like making them happy. And I don't know, he just was always worried about others.
The energy, you know, just the life that kid gave off was just none other like anyone else. He just, what he brought to the table was just, yeah, just like no one else could bring it. He was just such a nice person, you know. He was there for you if you needed him. There's just so much to say about him. He's just a great guy.
His smile,
his humor and just the way he made me laugh. I mean, in high school, there were times when I was just in a really bad place with myself and with everything. And it was really hard for me. And there was times I didn't want to go out and see my friends, and my friends would make me, and I would go out, and I would just look at Xavier, and it felt like it all just went away. Because his aura, almost, it just made him make everyone else happy. And he really helped me through some dark times.
Just aside from being such a beautiful, positive, kind person, Xavier just had a really special way of making everyone else feel special. You know, he would go out of his way to make me feel welcome or accepted all the time, or, you know, just to go out of your way and say I love you, which he didn't have to do.
Okay, well, there's a lot of things, obviously, that I love about Xavier, but as far as, like, he is just a really outgoing person, and he is the most intelligent person I've ever met. Regardless of his goofiness, he's always in the books, and he doesn't even really have to try, actually, and I've just always loved that about him. But as far as me and his relationship, my favorite quality has always been just how caring he's been. He's always, anytime I need him, he's there. I can call him at 4 in the morning and he'll answer, and we can have hour-long conversations. Like, it never mattered to him. He was just always there for me.
He wasn't like the class clown, and he didn't have to say, you know, look at me, look at me, look at me kind of attention stuff. But he had a smile. He was interesting. He was funny. He was well-behaved. And I think this will be different for Dr. Philby and I. I have 2 sons. And so I often find myself looking at kids in class and saying, that's the kind of kid you'd like to have for a son. Or that's the kind of girl you'd like to have for a daughter. They come in and they take care of what they need to do, and they enjoy doing it here. So no, I'm timid and reserved. He was not, but good manners, well-behaved, attentive, a joy to have in class. That he was.
Well, and again, I mentioned in my comments, in my remarks at the service, that class was infinitely more fun when Xavier were there, because he was always, when he was there, he was certainly always on, and was always interested in what was going on in class. There were a couple times in TOK I had to ask him to keep it down, please, because he and his buddies Clay and whoever else sat back there with him get a little rowdy once in a while. Nonetheless, I commented that class was always exciting and fun when Xavier were there. And Allie Rue came up after the service and said, Mr. Philby, it's true. That class was infinitely more fun when Xavier were there, just because it was him, and he would have good questions and all those sorts of things. So I think he had an impact on people. Well, and again, he liked everybody, and everybody pretty much liked him. I don't think Xavier cared who he sat by or who was in class with him. He would always be nice to him and hang out and laugh and cut up and get an A. and just, you know, and again, I don't think that boy did a lick of work in school. He just, you know, what he didn't know academically, he made up for in yards of personality. And so his class grade, at least for me, was always high, because he was, you know, like that. Yeah, he had an impact. Always a positive one, I think. Certainly class-wise, definitely.
I think in that vein, some of my best memories of Xavier and his friends, and among those friends, I'm talking about kids that were with him in my film lit class, were at the games, especially the basketball games, and the just sort of attitude and excitement that they brought to having fun. And Xavier, again, was right in the middle of that. He had charisma, and he just sort of got the whole LC cheer section going, the student section, and he was just, I just remember him always being right in the center of that and the focal point of that kind of energy. So I'm sorry, and I'm just so we can come back to this, but to be more direct with your question, so he brought that out in people. What kind of impact did he have on his peers? I think he brought nothing but just like good energy out.
I honestly don't think I could just pick one quality that I loved about Xavier, and I think that's the one thing that made me realize like that he was just like my best friend, and that I like to look at the positive side of life, and I never really have drama with people and stuff. So I think that's what made us kind of so close is there was nothing to ever argue about. We agreed on everything, and there's just not one bad quality about Xavier, and there's so many good traits that Xavier has and characteristics that makes Xavier stand out and make Xavier who he is. Everyone's always like, oh, it's just Xavier. It's just like nothing bad about him. I couldn't pick just one quality.
They said he was outgoing. I saw him as a young man that was pretty laid back and quiet and very unassuming. However, I did see him in action at ball games where he would be kind of leading the cheers and he would give the rah-rah, and he was really full of school spirit. And I saw him in the hallways. He was pretty much had friends, but I never saw him really interacting in a very, what I would consider a connected way with friends, like they do nowadays. The kids shake up and all that. He was not that kind of person. He was to me, very professional in the way he treated people, even his friends, at least in this environment. Now, outside of this place called school, on the athletic field, he was a whole different person. He's just more fun-loving, more outgoing, outspoken, and I think his impact will be far-reaching because kids like that kind of stuff, and they like people that are full of life, and so do I. And I think he was full of life, just a young man full of life.
He just never gave up. I mean, we played soccer together senior year, and he hadn't played soccer in his life, and he was joining senior year, and he made varsity, and he played. And he always kept me going because it was hard because I joined sophomore year, and so I was new at soccer too, and we just always like pushed each other going along. And I don't know, he was really just like the driving force behind like my soccer career, honestly. Like people don't know that, but he really was. Like he always kept my head in the game.
Just that no matter what, like, he was better than any, like, girlfriend, like, boyfriend I could ever have. Like, if I had any kind of troubles with anything, like, he always knew exactly what to do, like, what to say to take my mind off of it, make me feel better, make me smile. He always told me that I was better than anything, like, that bad happened to me, that I deserve so much more. And he just always made me feel so good about myself. One of the last few times we hung out, we like hung out all day, and it was like a really meaningful day, and he just kind of told me how glad he was that I came to LC and like how I changed his life. And that really meant a lot to me because like he was by far the closest person I'd gotten to from our class at LC, and he just literally was someone that I needed, that I depended on. And I just appreciate him so much for everything he's done to make me laugh, to make me feel better. Like, he was always the person to get the party started. He was always the person to try to get me included in plans. Like, I just knew he was always looking out for me. And I just knew that even, like, we weren't very best friends, but he was always someone that I could count on. And I was always someone that he could count on, and it was just, like, such a beautiful thing. And I'm so glad that I came to Lawrence Central and that I got to meet him. He really changed my life. And that's what I really appreciate about him. Obviously, how much he's touched everyone. That's what I love so much about him. There's no one like him. Simple as that.
Xavier, it's like, I feel like in life there's people that are like party friends, and then you have like real loyal friends.
And I feel like Xavier was so both in one, in like an uplifting, like positive way. Like he was just such a positive person, but yet so fun. Like Xavier's just always down to clown. Like I don't know, it's just a person that you love to hang out with. Like he was just a positive person, which I'm sure everyone will say, because that's really what it was.
I never saw him upset. He always had a smile on his face. I mean, he was caring towards everybody, open-hearted. I mean, he wore his heart on his sleeve. I mean, if he saw something, if someone was crying on the side of his road or something, or in the hallway, he'd go up to him and see what's wrong. I mean, he's always loving and everything.
He was just always like a cool guy. Like he was nice to everyone. He didn't see color. It didn't matter if you were a boy or a girl. He treated you the same way and was always respectable, the nicest guy you could ever meet. And I think that's what made him him, you know?
I have to say his positivity. Even when the worst thing could happen to this dude, and he'd still just be like, screw it, like let's party, or like something, like just like find some way to see like the positive side of it. Like there's like when Connor's dad died, like he still like, I mean, like he helped Connor through that so much. Like Connor was so torn up, but then Xavier still like tried to stay positive, and like that was a big influence on Xavier's life as well. And he's still like, he's just like always had a positive vibe.
Let's see. The first time I met Xavier, we were at Amy Beverland. It was first grade, and I just remember we'd have recess right after lunch, and we'd always go out to the swings, where that seemed to be where all the girls hanged out. And of course, Xavier would go over there. He'd be the first one, and he'd just start chatting it up with all the girls. And I remember. He'd almost hit on every single one. It'd almost be like a assembly line or something. And he'd be so good at it too. He'd make it look so easy. But that's how he kind of introduced me to like everyone. Cause he's the one who like brought me out of my shell like at Amy Beverland, and like got me talking to everyone. And that was always what he was like really good at. And that's the first time I met him too.
He was a kid that he had a village that he didn't have to look outside his household. He had a dad, a strong man. He had 3 strong brothers, aunts and uncles, school administrators, neighbors. Our neighbors are just fantastic. I love my neighbors. Yeah, so he didn't have to look for folks that he couldn't touch.
Right.
He had people that he could touch, and they were real, and he knew them 360 degrees. It wasn't one-dimensional like you see someone on television and you just, you admire them, but you don't truly know them. We don't truly know the people that we see on TV or in the magazines and things of that nature. So I think that's what made him the Renaissance kid, because he entrusted his knowledge in people that he could touch, that he knew.
He sat back, he always said, we saved the best for last, and him, but he sat back and he watched his older brothers and his dad and emulated them, and then just, took a little bit of each of them and became the young man that he was. So, but no, I'd say he definitely looked up to his family, brothers, dad, and friends, neighbors. So
Now, don't get me wrong, he liked his music, the different artists, sports, and so forth and so on. But it wasn't something that, it was more from an entertainment perspective. Right. It was more from a relating to his friends' perspective and having a good time. But to shape and nurture him as a man, it was the village that was around him.
took so much for granted, and it's hard. We had to learn it that way, but it's a good thing we did. You just got to be smarter. And I don't know, just I don't even know.
It makes me feel a lot more serious about life, but then it's so hard and contradicting because it's like I want to take life serious, but then at the same time, I know if Xavier was here, he'd want us to be having fun. So I don't know, but it does make me like really like take my position in this world as being like an adult now a lot more serious and to heart, because I feel like when you're a kid in like high school, you can do a lot of stuff and like you know that like your parents can get you out, or something that just works out in your favor. But when someone like passes away like due to those circumstances, that's like one thing that like you can't change. It's like we're like grown up, we have to take like accountability for our own like actions now. Like stuff really does happen. So that's like the biggest thing I've learned. Like I just think about life like a lot more serious, but at the same time, like you do want to have fun, but I rather just, I don't know, live more positively.
Okay. And then do you have any final like words you want to say? Just add on anything, any comments?
I don't know, some days it's like really hard to like, I don't know, just accept the fact that he's gone. Like earlier I was out to eat with my family because they came here, and like I just like left and I was like crying because like some days it's so easy to talk about, some days it's so hard. And I don't know, it's just like one of those things you really have to take one day at a time, and it sucks, but like when it hurts so bad, but then when I feel good about it, like I know that it's, God's plan that's like, for the better good of the whole thing, so yeah.
I think what I've learned from it is just that you don't really know what's going to happen in life. Nothing is guaranteed, obviously. And I think just like what he's always tried to make me do is come out of my shell. I think this is just another way of him telling me that I need to get out there more and just do more with my life, because obviously you never know like when it's going to be over with.
And then, do you have any final comments, any last words?
I don't know, I would just tell Xavier and his family that Xavier was he was an awesome dude, and there's never going to be anyone like him.
And you sit there and you think about it, and it's like, how could you die? Like, I feel immortal. Like, how could you be here for a second and be gone? And it happens to people, but you don't think it's going to happen to someone you know. You don't think it's going to happen to like one of your best friends and someone that's always had your back. And I don't know, it just really shocked me. I got a call at 4 in the morning, and I heard he was in the hospital, and it like took my breath away. I didn't know what to think. I couldn't go back to sleep. And then I got the call at around 7, and I heard that he didn't make it. And I was numb to the world. I wasn't upset. I was in disbelief. It's how could someone like him be here, someone so strong and full of life, and then all of a sudden be gone. And I remember I had to call my coach Vargo, because he was like a father to us on the soccer field. He really helped us a lot. He didn't get frustrated with us, and he always pushed us along. And that's one of the toughest calls I've ever had to make. It's like, how could I say that my best friend, someone that he's grown to know and love, is gone? It was just so hard to do, and it's a tragedy, it really is. I used to call Xavier my super chocolate brother, because that's what he was. He was my best friend. He was always there. And I don't know, it's just tough having him gone. And it hasn't fully hit me, and I know it hasn't. Because there's going to be times where I wanted Xavier to walk in the room, and he's not. I mean, I can see him sit in places. I can just see the expression on his face, like what he'd be doing. It's just tough knowing that he's never actually going to be here. But the effect that he's had on everyone like shows within itself that he was a great man. And I don't know, your life isn't judged by how old you are, how long you're here, but how many people you touch and how you live your life. And Xavier always lived his life to the fullest. We got in trouble together all the time, but we always worked it out, and we were on the right path. We all are. And even though this situation's so terrible, Xavier's gonna push us along. And when we struggle, we're gonna think of him and how strong he was, and we're all gonna be strong. And that's something that we're all gonna live with, and we're never gonna forget him. And how could you?
I was never like a religious or spiritual person before. Like I went to a Catholic school and I like transferred out because it was not something that I believed in, like that I cared about. But after this, like I know that there's something higher up. Like I don't know if I believe in God, but I believe that he's up there doing something great. And I truly believe that, like this may sound stupid, but I truly believe he was an angel. And because he was meant to be here to help us. He obviously had a lot to share with everyone around him, and it just, I talk to him, pray to him all the time, and it just really gives me hope for what is after our life here, you know? Like, I'm not afraid of dying anymore. Like, nothing, like, really scares me, because I know that he's gonna be waiting there for me with open arms, you know? And I'm honestly so excited to see him again.
Okay. And then do you have any just final words, comments you want to say?
I just miss him so much, and I don't know when it's gonna sink in, if it ever will. I just know I'll never believe that he's really gone. Like, I can feel him. Like, I talk to him. Like, it's just really, it's gonna definitely hit me when we all go home. And, you know, he's not gonna walk through the door, and everyone's not gonna be like, Xavier. And, like, if we, like, have parties, like, they're not gonna be complete. Like, it's really gonna be hard trying to go on without him, but we're all kind of getting stronger, and I just wish I could do something to bring him back, anything in the world. I still just can't believe he's gone, and I just want him to know how much I love and appreciate him.
I mean, there's not one moment that's gone by since his death that it hasn't like consumed like every second of my thoughts. Like everything that I do, he's in the back of my mind. And like the one thing that I've tried to like change the most, a lot of people kind of say like I'm a negative person. Like I don't try to be. Just like a lot of people say that, but Xavier was always the most positive. He always brightened up the room and like never let anything get him down. And like since his death, I've tried so hard to like always be like happy and be more positive and not be negative. And like, cause like, I mean, he's gotta live through us now since he's gone now. So, I mean, that's really like what I've tried to do personally to like carry on his legacy throughout our friend group and throughout everyone. He impacted so many people, and like, that's just one thing that always got to me is how happy he was all the time, no matter what.
Okay. And then, do you have any final words, last things you want to say?
I just want to say, like all these people have been like tweeting, like Instagramming, like whatever, like talking about like they've been having like they miss him so much, and they've been like having like dreams about him, and I like never really like said anything, or I never like really thought about it. Like I was like I didn't have a dream about him, but like actually it was last night. I had like a very vivid dream about him, and we were just like wasn't even like that significant. We were just hanging out, and it was just like me, him, and a couple of friends, and like I just like came to the point like in my dream where I realized I was dreaming, and I was just like, I don't want this to end. Like I haven't spent time with him in a couple of weeks already, and like I don't want this. I don't want to wake up from this. Like I don't know. Like it was just so significant that just hanging out with him again, even in a dream, even though I knew it was a dream, it was probably the best dream I think I've had ever.
I mean, I've always known that life can tragically end, and anyone's life can. I definitely changed my behavior and looked at myself more and what I was doing. But knowing what I've known before this whole thing happened, I think it's made me a lot stronger to lose somebody like him. Because when you lose somebody like him, you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And like the cliche part about it is like it's true. And he was the coolest guy I've ever met. Hands down.
And do you have any final things you want to add?
I'm just here for everybody, and I'm glad that I'll always know Xavier as that 18-year-old kid that was the happiest boy in the world, and I won't ever see him grow old. He'll always be Xavier, and I'm okay with that.
Well, Xavier was the closest one I've ever met. I mean, the closest one I've ever lost at this age. So it's really, really taught me that life is short. But at everybody, Xavier lived life to the very last minute, the last second. He was always out there, doing everything, not having anybody hold him back. He wouldn't care what the crowd said about it. It was Xavier. He did everything he wanted to do. He followed his dreams and.
You have any last words, final things you want to say?
Xavier was just an amazing guy, the best guy I ever met. I mean, he helped me become confident within myself and taught me not to really care about what people say about you. People will love you for the way you are. And Xavier was one of those friends that would always be your friend for somebody that was having a hard time believing that.
I don't think I've learned anything different, but it put emphasis on what I already knew. Every morning I wake up and I realize my best friend's gone, and there's nothing I can do about that. But then I think to myself, everything me and him have done up until what happened has prepared me for this. He got me ready to handle this. He wouldn't have left if he didn't know that he left his mark on people, and he wouldn't have left if he didn't know that that wasn't done. He knew he had changed people's lives. He knew he had just been the best person he could be, and I tell myself that every day, and that he wouldn't want me to be upset. He wouldn't want me to be down. He wouldn't want me to be hurting. All he would want is for me to be happy. And every day I think about that, and that even though he's gone, he still puts a smile on my face just knowing that he would want me to be happy.
And anything else you want to add? Just any final things?
Just, I miss him, I love him, and I live every day for him. That's all I got.
It changes everything about life, honestly. Just waking up every day. I think about it every minute of every day. There's really no point that I don't think about it. And I just try and live my life how he'd want me to live it. I just wake up every day and try my hardest to smile. because I know that's what he did, and that's how I know he lived life. I just do my best to follow in his footsteps, but he'll always stay with me no matter what. And I hope that I can become half the man he was at the age of 18 someday, because the world would be a much better place if we had a bunch of Xaviers running around.
And then, do you have anything else you want to add?
I miss him more than I've ever missed anything in my entire life. You know, I've lost distant family members and stuff like that, but it sucks when you actually lose somebody in your immediate family, and I considered him a part of my immediate family. I just miss him and love him and hope he's doing okay up there. And I know he is, so I'm really not that worried about it.
Funny, you made everyone laugh, you could trust him. He was one of the few people you could always trust, never steal anything or shady business or whatever. He was just a good friend. He tried to help people out more than he helped himself out. He was always looking out for other people. And you just don't find people like him very often. And it's, you know, it's just terrible that he got away.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be safer, and I also, but like, now I realize like how quickly things can change, and it makes me like live in the moment more, because, you know, it can be taken from you for a second, so you get more out of life.
You want to add anything? Last words?
I just really miss Xavier, and I'm glad you're doing this to really show how much people liked him.
It just really makes you think that your friends, you think they're gonna be your friends forever, and then like all of a sudden they're gone, and it really makes you appreciate life more, and like makes you want to like live for him, and because you know he wants you to keep going on and not like live in the past, like just keep moving forward.
It's like I go outside and after a long day, and I just look up at the sky. And I mean, it sounds really weird, but I just start viewing life more differently. I start looking at the little things, and it's hard. It's hard to keep going. It's like the world's not gonna stop, but I think every day it's getting a little better.
No, you want to add anything at the end?
It's just, I loved him. He was a brother to me. He was a brother to my family. He would walk in the door and my family would just, their faces would lit up. And like, Xavier. I don't know what I have to say.
When I wake up, you know, it's a new day, and I take a breath, and I'm so thankful to be here, you know. Some of us are more lucky than others, and you really have to grab life and live in the moment while you can. And Xavier want all of us to keep moving forward and do the best we can. So I think that's the most important thing that we can learn from this, and just keep moving forward and just live our lives to the fullest.
Just through this whole experience, definitely has taught me not to take people for granted, and just to, it's allowed me to kind of see and just appreciate the beauty of everyone, and just how special every person is, and that we should appreciate them.
Okay. And then you want to add anything else?
Just that we love you, Xavier, and we miss you. That's it.
Xavier passing, I think, has kind of affected everyone in a whole, because you always hear about this stuff happening on the news and never happening to people that you know. And when it happens to you, it's a reality check. Like just with partying and just thinking that we're invincible, like when we go out and like when we do things. And this just kind of made us realize that we're not invincible and this stuff does happen. And it's sad. it's been hard to deal with for everyone. Everyone misses Xavier. Everyone loved Xavier. And it's also kind of a reality check to appreciate people more. Just the little things like a text or like having class with people or even rides. Like he would give me rides in the morning, and now that stuff is just goes a long way. I appreciate that stuff.
It's impacted me by, like, I always knew like life was really short, but I've never had someone really close to me die at such an early age like that, and that really put things in perspective to me. And I always try to live every day like it's my last. I try my hardest not to take people for granted, of course. I think that's like a really good lesson, to not take people or like what you have for granted, because it can be gone so fast and so easy. I miss Xavier so much. We all miss Xavier. We all love him. And every day I just try to like remember like how he would want me to be and like me to live my life in like a positive way. And that's what keeps me going.
This has been my first death that I've ever experienced, and it sucks having to be someone that was so close to you. And it's really changed my life. I like go outside and stuff, and I'll just like look at nature, like the sky, or look at life as a whole. And it really is a fragile thing, and it's weird to think, seeing like my best friend like in my eyes, like right in front of my eyes for like 1 second, and now like I like look up above like to the sky, and like now he's just like everywhere I am now, and it's a different feeling coming from talking to someone every day and seeing someone almost every day to never again. It's a really scary concept, and it makes me look at things of how I want to look at myself, and I want to accomplish like all the greatness Xavier had in him, and like make it me or something. Like it makes me want to be a much better person, and I now look at things, and if I'm ever in a situation, I'm like, what would Xavier do? Because I know he was such an intelligent kid, and even though he liked to have fun, he was still like very intelligent, and so it makes me just kind of want to like take over everything Xavier said we were ever going to do in our future, and just live on for the both of us.
And you want to add anything? Anything else?
It's a weird quote when people used to always say, the good die young, because it couldn't even be more accurate than when coming to talking about Xavier. And good doesn't even complete what Xavier could even be. Like, Xavier was great, like he was amazing. Everyone loved him, he loved everyone. He was so genuine to everyone. He just wanted to brighten everyone's day and have a smile on everyone's faces. That's what he wanted. And that's why he would always have just that bright smile that everyone loved and will always remember him by. He always made everyone feel really welcomed, and it's sad to see someone so great in everyone's eyes like go away. It really makes you appreciate life and the people around you.
You know, that remains to be seen. I don't know what kind of impact losing that fine kid will have on those other young people. They need to slow down. They need desperately to slow down. And if his passing helps us understand that no, at 18, even though we think we're immortal, we're not, then maybe they'll slow down a bit and think a little bit before they do goofy things. Knowing that group of young people, I have my doubts.
And one of the things that struck me when it first happened, my first year at Lawrence Central, so that was like 5,000 years ago, a kid I had in class who was a senior was killed in a car accident. His father worked for the school district. He was a football player, well liked, you know, just again, a great kid, the kind of kid that you enjoy having in class. And there is an athletic award now that's in his honor, in his name. But it happened so long ago that kids don't know who he is. I'm sure his friends and the people around that time period remembered him, and for a while it, you know, do I want to drive my car while I've been drinking, or no, I won't, because this is what happened. So I don't know. You know, the farther away we get from time, the more we tend to forget those kinds of things. I'd like to think that his impact will be pretty strong for the kids who are around now. But you don't know.
For someone who lived a short life like he did, he had already packed in a lot of just positive, I keep using the same word over, energy. When I think of Xavier, I think of positive energy. And he had a way of letting that energy rub off on people. And when we had the memorial service here at Lawrence Central, there's no way in my mind that I could have ever predicted that many people were going to show up. And that was a testament. That's the testament. Sometimes when these things happen, we say things because we want to say the right thing and do the right thing, but you don't have to do that with Xavier. And the proof is the number of people that came to that memorial. I mean, it was huge. It was off the charts. Nobody was ready for it. And so he has, in a short time, he's leaving this legacy of someone who lived life to, you know, kind of its fullest, and who impacted his peers, and I would say adults as well, with this sort of infectious kind of positive energy. I think that's his legacy. I think the thing that I know I want to remember Xavier for is something that I want to continually try to incorporate into my own life, and that is to kind of try to savor what you have right now and make time well spent. Use your life as something that's time well spent. And I think that's part of his legacy with his friends as well. I've heard numerous people say about him, we're going to use this for some kind of good. Even like making this film was a great thing. And in the end, I mean, I can still see Xavier. I can still see him. He's in my classroom. He's got that big smile on his face. He's just happy, but he, you know, and people just are gravitating toward him. And I think that's just how I want to remember.
Again, he was a very smart young man. I think he was, for the most part, focused on education and getting through high school and college and having a nice career. He and I talked several times. He wanted to go to Ohio State University, but I think the finances was the piece that kept him out of Ohio State. I think he just had a bright future, and unfortunately, it ended way too soon for him. His friends will miss him. I will miss him. You know, like I said, I've known him since he was just a small kid. Knowing his family, his mom and dad, who worked so hard to make sure he had what he needed to be successful. And I think his impact on the community, because of who he was, as a gentleman and a scholarly person, I think will have a far-reaching impact with the community. At least his friends that he connected with so well. They will miss him as well as myself.
Okay. And then, do you have anything else you think you want to add on top of that, last word?
Yeah, he was a young man that, like I said, had lots of potential. And when I heard about his death, it just, like it took a part of me. I've never lost a kid, but it almost felt like if I were his dad, man, how could I deal with this such tragic event that occurred with him? Because he was a young man that I thought was doing the right things for himself, was going to make it. And I could really see his career blossoming after college, and him being somebody that we would know about in a good way, and will make a positive impact on this society, maybe even the country, because he was just that kind of kid. And he had a vision, I think, for what he wanted to do, and had supportive parents and supportive community, and of course the school supported him. And it was just tragic to me that to have to hear that news. And I'm still a little bit saddened by it. I just can't believe that it happened to such a nice young man. I guess they say, there's a song said, "The good die young." I guess he's part of that song that they sing about. But great young man, great family.
I think that hopefully it will forever change how students react and behave and decisions that are made. I think that it will always affect the school here and obviously his friends and family and other people that he's been close to in a way that, you know, how could such a tragedy happen to someone so young? But I hope from it students see that if you make good choices, and no matter what a consequence might be, you just always need to be with people and make those choices so that something like this doesn't happen again. Because of the effect, I mean, devastated so many people, and he had so much to live for, you know, so much to do in the future, and was cut short on one tragedy.
It's just that I think just you doing this documentary alone speaks volumes about Xavier and how impact he had and how many various lives that he touched. You know, he was diverse in himself, from his friends to his interests and such, and the outpouring that we've gotten from all of his friends and the community in general, that our faith has kept us going, and then each other, you know, leaning on each other has really gotten us through this. So it's probably been the most, is the most difficult thing in our lives, but the smile that we keep on our faces, just that Xavier, of what he was, who he was. He was a gentleman, a young gentleman, but he was fun-loving, active, and, you know, crazy, but yet just a good person. And that, I think, is our most proudest thing of him overall.
I've learned a lot of other things outside of just knowing him as a son. I see him now as a friend through the eyes of his friends. I read a story that I've read a million stories and a million texts and Facebook, and I'm not a Facebooker, but there's one story that really touches me and really leads me to believe that he's always listened to what we've always told him in terms of growing up and being a man. Is when he was homecoming king. Mm-hmm. Someone wrote this in the guest book within the funeral home, and they said that at the dance, at the homecoming dance, there was a young girl that was challenged, and there was some laughter because she was in a corner dancing by herself, and it reads that Xavier walked over, and that was the time that he was named homecoming king, and he said that he walked over and danced with her, and a couple of dances with her,
crown on and everything.
And the way it reads is that made that young lady's day, and I think evening, and I think it made her a little more accepting of probably maybe 50 or 60% of the other folks were there, and I believe it read also that the laughter
said that some kids were ceased. Laughing at her, you know, dancing, but when the homecoming king, our Xavier went over there and danced with her.
So those some of the things that I always knew that he would do, but never had evidence of it, and that really touched me. I've got probably a million more stories that I have learned that he was listening, And I always knew that there was going to be, and I know his brothers will attest to this, in terms of him being doing big things. There was something about Xavier that I knew out of the four that he was going to do big things. Now all my sons do big things, but with Xavier it's a little bit different, and I believe again that his brothers will. His was more global. His was more international based. The governor called our house in terms of condolences, and we have had somewhere in the neighborhood of close to. I can't count the cards that have come through. I can't count the notes that have come from different countries in regards to the ripple effect that is his life, and folks says that his story and his life when he was living has had on them in terms of him having a positive impact, right. And that they will miss him. So it's a validation of the things that he and I and his mother and I and him just talked about. It's phenomenal. But in my mind, he was going to do big things in terms of being international, whatever it was going to be in terms of politics, whether commerce, entertainment. I didn't know, but I just knew that I just assumed I wanted it to be big things. It still could be that. I don't know, but I would have definitely liked to have for him to be living in order to do it. Right. So that's the big thing. Is the big things. Right. And maybe he has done big things. If he's touched 2 or 3 lives, that will ripple out to because those lives will affect continued lives, and there might be this huge ripple effect that there may be, I don't know, some reason behind all of this, which we're struggling to find it right now, but we understand there's a reason. We don't know now, but it may come. So
we're proud of our son
immensely.